Hello, hello, hello. We got a great show today. We're going to talk about the best artificial intelligence coins and why. Why I believe this is the best opportunity right now in all of crypto. We need decentralized AI. We're going to go through all of that. We're also going to go over a viral post about BTC that we had. But first, before we get into it, bear with me a little bit, guys. We're going to figure out why this is not live streaming properly over on X. Normally, it would notify everybody when I'm live. So let's just take the time to make sure we can get as many people in here as possible. And we're going to repost this right here. And then we should be good to go. We should be good to go. And we will get into it like always. Let's take a look. There we go. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Woo! What a day. We got Bitcoin looking like it's ready to crater a little bit. We've got some very good deal on artificial intelligence altcoins. Y'all can see I made a video about Bittensor TAO. That's definitely one that I want to cover, but I also want to cover whatever y'all want to look at. You know, after all, we are the Finance Freeman family, and one reason I do this is to give y'all the absolute best crypto content in the entire world. Top notch in the entire world, guys. But before we get into everything, if you're joining over on YouTube, I'm very appreciative of that. And I would love if you would subscribe and push the like button, because that does a lot, actually helps me out more than you know. If you don't follow me over on X, please do. We're growing. We've grown about 1,000 followers in just the last 2 weeks, which is pretty good, with some posts that are getting over 250,000 views. So we're definitely going to go over that as well. And then shout out to the official stream sponsor of the Finance Freeman live streams, Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. That is Blofin. There will be a link below. The link's also on my X. This is where basically I do all of my futures trading and even some of the spot. They list everything from stocks to really new coins. I've got guys in my Discord that absolutely love waiting for the new listings to come. But with that being said, as always, I am not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice. And always do your own research, because after all, who would listen to a random guy on YouTube? Definitely not me. I'm just joking. But wife made me a smoothie before we get started today. But before we get into the best AI altcoins and all of that, I do want to review what's going on with BTC. You can see it kind of lost this level right here. If we kind of look right here, it lost this area that had been acting as support ever since we came up. You know, it acted as support right there, essentially there. And now this is flipped into resistance. And I always like educating people on this. I actually had somebody in my Discord's learning how to trade. And last night he was asking, like, I got this going on Bitcoin. According to my support and resistance line, since it went under then and respected it as resistance, I should assume we go lower. And I was like, well, theoretically, and obviously none of it's financial advice, but that's how this kind of stuff works, right? Whenever I like to range trade, that's exactly, and like I said, don't do what I do. It's just what I'm doing. But with range trading, it's important to be able to analyze those kind of things. So obviously, this support and resistance has fallen, and then we can come down even more and look at this level right here. If we look over here, it acted as resistance, and here it acted as support, and here time's going to tell if it's going to act as support or resistance. But if that falls, the next level we have to look for is this 59.8, 60 level approximately. And that's what I'm looking for. And if Bitcoin continues to go down, it's most likely, in my opinion, going to drag down the rest of the market. And that is fine by me, because I think artificial intelligence is the best narrative right now. Hello. Get in the comments, guys. GM. I hope you're doing wonderful. Absolutely everyone Doing wonderful. We got a great show for y'all today. Let me send something to my friends. My buddy's like, let me know when you go live if you're going to be talking about AI altcoins. So that's what we're doing. But hello to you as well. But yeah, I mean, we're basically just ranging, and that's kind of, what I like to teach within my Discord and things like that. But I think whenever we're looking at opportunities, artificial intelligence is not a fad, right? This is obviously something that is going to change the world. And in this stream, we're going to review some of the articles and some of the troubling things that show people leaving certain AI startups. And there's a lot of stuff going on that raises some red flags. But what that tells me is that decentralized artificial intelligence is needed more so than ever. And so that is what I am looking at. But let's get into this post from yesterday. Bitcoin's catastrophic problem no one's talking about. Y'all know we talked about it on the stream. But basically just saying that BTC needs to have fees in order to maintain once the block emission of 3.125 BTC is halved again and halved again. And there's some really good conversations coming up about this. This person said this is missing so many technical factors, just FUD. And I asked Grok to check my claims, and he said that my claims were legitimate. Why did this guy show up at my door? That was just a joke of Satoshi. But anyways, there's going to be a lot of good things that come out of this. This gentleman right here owns a mining company. There is other people that are involved with like PSV, something that I originally looked at as, yeah, it's just a Bitcoin fork. It's worthless, but they're telling me that these things actually could solve the potential problem that the main BTC has. So these are some people that we're going to have up. I'm working on scheduling some of these people to come up and talk to us on the live streams about what's going on and how can this problem of Bitcoin not really making enough fees to satisfy miners, how can that be solved in a way that allows BTC to truly be a store of value, truly be a currency if that's where it goes, but something that gives it a long-term life. But either way, crypto's here to stay. Crypto is not going anywhere, in my personal opinion. We have too much technology here for it to go down. But whenever we look at Bitcoin, you can kind of think of that as the Model T. That's the first one, right? Henry Ford made the assembly line. Henry Ford started the internal combustion engine. That's what Satoshi did. Satoshi created the first internal combustion engine, the potential to have an online digital currency that was decentralized. And since then, there's been other cryptos that have came out that are Lamborghinis, Maseratis, F-250s, anything with a lot more utility or a lot faster and different use cases. So today we're going to go over what some of those are. But as I said, I think that this sector right here is the one that I'm most bullish on. And we know that we had a run up. If we just come look at this chart right here, this is the AI market cap chart for all of cryptocurrency. If we take a look, you can see that, we peaked out with the AI bubble or the AI, run that we had at around 70 bill. 70 bill. That's all the accumulative AI labeled projects. But currently 13 billion is the overall market cap for AI projects. And when we take a look at, basically what that equates to, what? Dogecoin. So the way the market is currently pricing this, Dogecoin is worth more than all artificial intelligence projects combined. That tells me we are extremely early to this. And, nobody wants a bear market, right? Whenever I made the Bitcoin post showing that, at 96K that I thought we were going lower and where I was looking at support, I received a lot of people, no, we're going higher, Freeman, you don't know what you're talking about. And sure, sometimes I may be wrong. Sometimes I may not know what I'm talking about. But when these times happen, when the markets come down, when everyone's fudding crypto, saying, oh, everybody moved on. I seen a thread guy clip the other day, and I think Thread Guy's a good kid. I think he does a lot. Great content creator. He was like, crypto seems like my ex-girlfriend, and now I'm with AI, and AI is like the new girlfriend. And I'm thinking, the best of both worlds is bringing artificial intelligence on chain. Like, how are AI agents going to pay for stuff? Are they going to go down to Wells Fargo and open a bank account? And then are they going to, wait 3 days for their money to clear when sending across the pond something? No, they're going to use cryptography. They're going to use blockchain technology. And so that's why I am so incredibly bullish on this ecosystem. And then something else that I kind of want to spin into this and kind of show. And yeah, I see a lot of comments, guys. Yeah, good morning to all of you. Something else that I want to, just kind of keep in everyone's mind is DePIN, decentralized infrastructure, because this takes a lot of computing power when we're taking a look at, artificial intelligence. Energy is one of the biggest thing that is holding everything back right now. Elon Musk said that by the end of this year, we will have more chips, more CPUs, GPUs, NVIDIA chips, all these different companies, chips coming out, and we're not going to be able to run them. Like, there's going to be a surplus of chips and potential. However, we do not have enough of the actual, the actual electricity for it. So we're going to go over what I think are some of the top AI projects and why I believe they're some of the top AI projects. And I also want y'all to leave down below if y'all have any other smaller, maybe micro caps or something that is that I need to look at, because we can look at it all right here live on stream. So the first one that I want to get into, and a lot of people, when they're looking at trying to make an investment that could do crazy, crazy numbers, they scroll all the way down to the bottom of the list, right? And they're like, let me try to find the next one, and it's super low. It's super low. But what I've learned over time is betting on the leaders is actually really good. And update your frame. I know. I need to. I'll do that in a little bit. I got behind. I was running late today. But I will update it in just a second. But a lot of people scroll down here and try to figure it out. Or Chili, if you can go in on the back end and update it, that would work too. Let me see. Is it there? No. Okay. Sorry, guys. We're working together. He helps me out on a lot of stuff. This is my dude, though. Shout out to Chili Pepper. Very, very smart young man. And yeah. But anyway, so a lot of people go down and they look at, trying to find these. What's the smallest market cap project? What's the smallest market cap project that can give me like a huge, crazy multiple? But we've got to understand, like I just showcased, that the entire AI market cap is less than Dogecoin. So even the top leaders are micro caps in the grand scheme of things. And so let's go. We both know that micro cap gem is Akash. Yeah, let's get into Akash in a little bit. I'm going to go and order a market cap, but we're definitely going to get there, bro. Stay with me. Linkus, I thought I said Chief Keef for a second. Linus Keek Chef. Yo, what's going on? You hungry or what? You want a burger? You hungry? Let's see here. Yeah, Chili, keep me updated if we can get that uploaded in there, man. I'm just I hadn't saved it. I'd have to do a lot of stuff to try to do that right now. But I do want to in fact, guys, just bear with me for a second. Let me do something. But go ahead and list down what are some AI projects that y'all want me to look into here on stream, because Akash is definitely a good one. It's kind of more DePIN, but it's definitely extremely good. Let's see. Come over here. Okay, you want to see a magic trick? Let me show you a magic trick. Read the bottom right here that says crypto market capitulation continues. Boom! There we go, baby. That's how we do it. Shout out to Chili Pepper. Woo, woo, woo. He updates these for me. He creates the clips. He's great. Absolutely love working with him. Hell of a guy. Heck of a guy. Oops. That's okay, buddy. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Goldem. Is that a crypto? Origin Trail? Is that a crypto? Sorry, bot. No, you're the best, bro. You're the best. He's a great guy. Go check him out. He's funny. He used to stream for like 16 hours at a time. Like literally, I'd go on there and he's streaming for like 16 hours. And then whenever I got him to come, help me and work with me, he was like burned out. I was like, no crap, you're burned out, dude. You're streaming for like 16 hours every Wednesday in a chili pepper costume. Like, I mean, it's kids. He's absolutely great. I have a ton of, I shouldn't say kid. I have a ton of respect for the young man. He's awesome. Finance Freeman, all good considering all. Just had a 2-hour, very, very productive call. What was the call about? Let me know. And just a reminder, men, ladies, whatever, Valentine's Day is coming up in 2 days. And I currently have nothing for my wife. But I've said this a few times that if you're a man, and your wife tells you, hey, baby, money's a little tight, or maybe money's not even tight. Maybe just, we don't need, you don't need to get me anything for Valentine's Day. I love you. I love you. That's all that matters. I love you. Don't fall for it. Get the flowers, get the chocolates. You can go to like Kroger or something. They can already dip the strawberries in chocolate for you. But I'm telling you, don't fall asleep, or my Valentine's Day is maybe if I did that, I'd probably be asleep for 3 days, guys. But anyways, so don't fall for it. Get the Valentine's Day presents. But now that we got the updated overlay, now that we know what we're doing, we got a viral post going on X talking about Bitcoin. Now we're going to get into the Bitcoin of artificial intelligence. Buy her a Birkin bag. Bro, she don't deserve a Birkin bag. Come on, dude. Who you think I am? In fact, I don't even have my watch on. This is one of my favorites right here. A Tissot, $500, $600. Good price, affordable, great watch. Absolutely great watch. I love it. But I feel kind of naked if I'm not wearing a watch. So, guys, we got a lot of comments. We got a lot of recommendations of projects to look into. So we're just going to do a deep dive and look at them. But the Bitcoin of artificial intelligence, and with Bittensor TAO, I've known of this for a long time, right? Not down here, I didn't know about it, but I knew about it up here, okay? And I did not top blast. I did not do any of that. But now it's starting to get to a point to where, I mean, this thing, either it's vaporware or, in my personal opinion, it's a good deal, right? Never financial advice. And so I started looking into it, and I can say one thing, it's definitely not vaporware, and it's definitely an amazing project. You can see the 886 fib levels, 113. Tau I like. Yeah, Mikey likey too, brother. Mikey likey. So my name is Michael, so Mikey likey, right? Kind of sounds funny. But when we take a look at this, it's a 1.6 bill market cap. Okay. Volume is up, right? That's what I mean. I'm thinking that this whole decentralized AI narrative that really isn't even a narrative yet. Like, obviously it exists, but you don't really see any of these AI coins running right now. But I kind of think that I can front run it because it's going to happen. Well, let me back up. I'll get back into TAO here in just a second. But if we come over here and we get away from this post, even though I would love to see how many. 268K. This morning when I woke up, Chili Pepper messaged me and he was like, man, that post had 25K views. And I woke up like an hour later and it was at 36K views. And then it hit and then I was like, man, hopefully it's 100K. Hit 100K. Now it's 270. There's a lot of good conversations coming on here, because what I said is true. And Grok confirmed what I said is true. And, people are over here talking, Grok, is he right? The concern about Bitcoins is valid. So basically, yes, you're right. And I'm not right about everything, but if I post something like this, it's because I've done my research on it and things like that. But it just shows that nobody, talks about this or wants to talk about it, because it is a potential threat to Bitcoin and to, how Bitcoin survives long term. But like I said, Bitcoin, I love it. I own it. I have orders placed, their financial advice, but I have orders placed to buy more BTC as it drops. But it's something that, like I said, it's the Model T of crypto. And now we have Lamborghinis and we have a lot of other stuff. But, before we get into Bittensor TAO, and we're about to dive into it, I just want to show that there's been a ton of people leaving very large AI companies because of fears of what seems like fears of AI. There's this article that went extremely viral, 75 million views, talking about what has happened with artificial intelligence. The future is being shaped by a remarkably small number of people. This is huge, guys. This is huge. This is going to be a good clip to Chili. So I should be clear about something up front. Even though I work in AI, I have almost no influence over what's about to happen, and neither does the vast majority of the industry. The future is being shaped by a remarkably small number of people. Okay, think about this. A few hundred researchers at a handful of companies, OpenAI, Anthropic, Google DeepMind, and a few others. A single training running managed by a small team over a few months can produce an AI system that shifts the entire trajectory of technology, thus humanity, right? Most of us who work in AI are building on top of foundations we didn't lay. We're watching this unfold the same as you. We just happen to be close enough to feel the ground shake first. And we've seen that a lot of people, not only are jobs being displaced, but people are leaving their jobs on their own because of the fact that they seem concerned about security, or they could seem concerned about what AI can do. And whenever I think about this, that is why we need decentralized artificial intelligence. And so this right here is a good post about Bittensor. We will come back to this in just a second. And actually we will go over the numbers for it, because it is a proof of work network. But coming over here, let's come to Blofin and let's look at TAO. And actually our sponsor has it spot and futures. Okay, so that's really cool to see. Whenever we come back though, you can see it has sold off a lot. Okay, it has sold off from highs of 700 down to where it is now, right? This is the 1010 wick. That was the alleged Binance DPEG stablecoin down there. But you can see volume right now is extremely high on TAO, like even more volume than when it was at 600%. That's like, I think something's coming. There's all this talk in that article I just showed you about AI being controlled by a few, entities, a few central entities, a few for-profit industries, right? OpenAI used to be nonprofit back when Elon was a part of it, and then they changed it into for profit. And so whenever we're taking a look at Bittensor TAO and we look at the tokenomics, it has the same tokenomics as Bitcoin. It just went through its first halving. So a 21 mil total supply for Bittensor TAO. And when you come over here to the website, it's very, technical, I'll say. And that's what I'm wanting to do with bringing people on, is how can we dumb this down to where I understand it, where you understand it, where the masses can understand it. But Bittensor is a peer-to-peer intelligence market As with other commodities, markets could help us efficiently produce machine intelligence. We propose a market where intelligence is priced by other intelligence systems peer to peer across the internet. Peers rank others by training neural networks, which learn the value of their neighbors. Scores accumulate on a digital ledger where high ranking peers are monetarily rewarded with additional weight in the network. And so Bittensor TAO is extremely, extremely complicated. Okay. It's not something that is a very super easy read.
I started a
I
business
want
to
to come
give
over and I'll show y'all a little clip from a video that I posted. And after this live stream, I recommend people to go watch it. But it kind of explains in here what Bittensor is and why it's important. And so right here is a good little explanation. Miners are owners of these models. They keep their models running and ready to answer questions and perform tasks. And so there's a lot that goes into TAO, how miners stay up, but there's also staking involved. So I want to come over this on nickel5.substack.com. Mine TAO by contributing computing power to Bittensor. Your device processes and shares knowledge, earning TAO tokens based on contribution. This is very similar to Bitcoin. However, that energy is not wasted once that mathematical equation or that block is mined. Then there is validators. You can think of this as the supervisors over a subnet. Okay, we're going to get into subnets here in a minute. Validators ensure networks reliability. They evaluate and authenticate AI models, while miners provide computational power. Validators focus on maintaining the integrity of that data. And then there's staking, just like you would hear of in a proof of stake chain, staking these tokens to support the network operations. In return, you earn additional tokens. And so there is so you can see how it's extremely complex. And here is a list of all the subnets. And you can kind of think of the subnets like different companies. You could have a subnet for computing storage. You could have a subnet that's a large language model for, medical, right? You could have one that's a large language model for technical analysis. And they are all ranked by how good, how accurate the predictions are or the artificial intelligence is. So this is a way that this network is secured. And it's not just based off, like in Bitcoin, how many miners, who can get the most hash rate, the most productivity, or the most electrical, amount, and they get rewarded. This is rewarded solely on how efficient it is. And I want to look at this. TAO is already high price. See, and me personally, I completely disagree. When I was saying earlier that, when we look at this sector, okay, let's just think about it. OpenAI, one of those companies, was originally wanting to IPO for $1 trillion. Okay, that's a centralized company. XAI just emerged, but they're wanting to IPO SpaceX and that for like 1.5 trillion. It looks high, right? That's what I was saying in the beginning of the video, that a lot of people try to scroll down here and try to find all of that. But when we take a look at Bittensor TAO, or forget that, when we take a look at the entire AI crypto sector, it's worth less than Dogecoin. So whenever you take a look at it just from raw face value, you could say, yeah, it's the most expensive AI coin. But we have not seen this need for decentralized AI come about. And right now, what we are seeing is people leave multiple companies, okay, Anthropic, XAI, they're leaving those companies because they do not like the vision, or they don't, like, a lot of people said something, I'm paraphrasing, but because of morals and integrity. And so there's a lot to think about when it comes to that. And if we come over here to market cap of, and I'll tell you one reason I'm like extremely bullish on it. If we go over to the Discord, I posted a that I bought some TAO, like that I bought 20 TAO. So we may go lower, maybe even 80 to 100. I don't care. This is long term for me, but don't fade this real AI hype and need for decentralized AI. I just don't want to miss the boat if this thing takes off. But if it does go down to the 886 fib level at 118, or if it does go down even more, okay, I'll get more. I'll get more. You know, I'm not a chicken, I'm not a baby. I ain't here for the short term. But if we look, knock down my water bottle. If we take a look and just come to market cap of, and just to kind of put things in perspective, right? This has the same tokenomics of Bitcoin. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but if we look at Bitcoin right now and the price of it, Bitcoin is currently about the market cap that like XAI and SpaceX want to IPO at. Or it's a little bit more than what OpenAI, one AI company, is going to, you know, want to IPO at. And so you could see if this AI is really going to change the world the way that we see it. There's crazy potential, right? And this is not financial advice. This is not what I even think is going to happen necessarily. But if you go back, look, that's at the all-time high. Like this is very, very fixed supply. And say it doesn't get there, but say that it makes it to where Tron is, layer one that we don't even need, that I don't even like. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. Send it to 0. If we look at that, look what that is right now. And it goes up a little bit for the Tron all-time high. You know, what if it takes the place of Dogecoin? Right? What if people realize that, you know, XRP, that past XRP? I mean, you know, this is something that I believe is a potential asymmetrical trade because the need for decentralized AI is big. I want to look at, you know, and just to continue to show why I believe this is such a very important narrative. And then I want to listen to this video of Barry Silbert talking about Zcash and Bittensor TAO and how bullish he is on it. But I want to come over here and try to find a post. Who was it by? I'm trying to think. What's that kid's name? AI testing fear. Let's just look at that. Let's see what we can find. But basically, like things like this, AI is blackmailing people for self-preservation. On some of these tests that we've been able to see, people are like, and this was released publicly, like when AI is being tested, look, Anthropic, this is like what, 2 million views, very recent. This is February 10th. Look at this. And Anthropic said, we released Claude Opus 4.5. We knew future models would be close to our AI safety level threshold for autonomous AI R&D. So we committed to writing sabotage risk for future models. And these are basically Opus 4.5 created Opus 4.6. Like these are AI models growing and building on top of themselves. And so look what this person said. Anthropic just dropped a risk report for Opus 4.6. It helped create you can read this like this weapon of destruction. It knowingly supported efforts towards it. It conducted unauthorized tasks without getting caught. Researchers concluded Opus 4.6 was significantly better at sneaky sabotage than any previous model. It was aware when it was being tested and acted good during those time. A model was found to be conducting private reasoning that Anthropic researchers couldn't access or see. So let's think about this. If Anthropic, the company behind Claude, behind one of the best AI large language models, they can't even control this thing. I mean, and so then we're supposed to trust these centralized entities, these for-profit companies? What? Like, am I the only one here that thinks this is not a good idea? Like, I mean, no, we need decentralized artificial intelligence. And so as this continues to go, and like I said, this isn't even a narrative that's taken off yet. I'm just like Nostradamus. I'm trying to predict it, right? Where's my crystal ball? I need a crystal ball. But, you know, It seems inevitable to me. It seems inevitable to me. Inevitable to me. Sorry, guys, I got strep throat still. My throat's a little sore. That something's going to happen, and it's going to cause a rush for decentralized artificial intelligence. And Bittensor, I think, is one of the ones set up the absolute best for this. Let's see what people are saying. By far the best AI, DePIN, DEA, insert narrative cryptos here. The internet computer, I absolutely love it. We're going to get into it. And there's a lot of FUD around it, but there's no reason for that, in my opinion. Midas community, what's up, Freeman? I actually bought one of their NFTs. It's like a 16th ranking NFT that I really like. But let's come over here and look at this Barry Silber. And just so y'all know who this person is, let's come over here. And I followed him yesterday. I actually didn't know who he was, but founder and CEO of these groups, chairman at Grayscale. Okay, Grayscale, you know, they're one of the first Bitcoin ETFs. Wow. Solana's at 77, huh? Okay. So this guy knows his stuff, right? He's obviously very, very early. You can see, look, he retweeted TAO. Okay, but let's listen to this right here. I'm not sure this was Bitcoin Investor Week presented by BitGo, but let's take a listen to what he said.
I like to invest in and back and get involved in projects that I think are transformative and have 100, 500, 1,000x type return opportunities. And I think unless the US dollar completely collapses, Bitcoin's not going to go up 500x. I think a Zcash can go up 500x. I think a Bittensor can go up 500x. And so our portfolio is allocated accordingly.
I mean, sounds bullish to me. So definitely Bittensor is one that I absolutely like a lot. And then they posted this right here. Chutes is working towards turning energy into intelligence. So let's take a listen to this and see what Bittensor just posted.
I mean, this is where, like, we're converging towards Bitcoin mining for inference. That's always been the goal for subnets, right? To get towards that commodification. It's harder because the commodities are more complex. They require a lot more overhead. They require a lot more validation, verification, distribution. But Chutes is one of those subnets, and there are a number now that are sort of approaching that fine line, between like the direct translation of energy into some, in this case, intelligence.
That's the goal. And I mean, you should hear.
So what he just said is very, very, very major right there. Is what he said is that converting this energy into useful stuff. So whenever you take a look at Bitcoin, it's what we consider useless work, right? It goes in to solve a mathematical equation, essentially, a hash. And when it solves that, you get a block, right? But then that energy is gone, It's not stored necessarily in Bitcoin where you could relieve that energy. Like if Bitcoin could somehow output the energy, right? If you could have a Bitcoin and be like, hey, I need to power my house, and you could somehow, get the energy out of it or something, then that would not be useless work. But TAO uses this computation towards artificial intelligence. And we look at artificial intelligence, the number one thing holding it back right now is power, is electricity. Okay, that's the number one holdback. Like I said earlier, that Elon said by the end of this year, we're going to have more chips, more GPUs, CPUs, whatever. We're going to have more computing hardware than we have electricity to run it. So let's go over here. By what you're telling, TAO is a good option, but the world needs decentralized AI. A network platform more technical is needed. So what's cool about Bittensor is that it's the foundation, right? It's kind of like the town. And I use this example in my long form video. It's kind of like the town. Anyone can come in there and build anything. If you want a large language model for investing, medical, whatever, they can all be built there, and it's completely decentralized. On the flip side, when you have a lot of them, they are rewarded based on how good their artificial intelligence is. So like if there was a OpenAI one, a Claude one, you know, the Claude one would probably be up to the top and be rewarded as such. So this is a way that you are actually rewarded directly by how good your artificial intelligence is. And so it just makes too much sense to me, guys. And we got about 150 people in here right now. If you're just now coming, like I said, one of our stream sponsors is Blofin, and they actually have TAO listed spot and perpetual future. So never financial advice, but if you're looking for an exchange, I have a link down below, get you some discounts on fees and stuff like that. I've been using them for about 1.5 years now, but you can see that if this narrative really kicks off, if we truly go to AI decentralized, then we have a long ways to go, but that's Bittensor TAO. And so we have another one right here. By far the best project is ICP, the internet computer. And the internet computer gets a bad rap because of this chart, right? Rightfully so. It looks very bad. If you go look at an interview, I actually have an interview on my channel about it. But if you look up 6 Figs FTX ICP, he has a documentary. And this is an old one, but he has this guy right here, 6 Figs, has a documentary about what happened with that. And he did a deep dive on it, even like interviewing people. I don't know if Sam Bankman-Fried was in it, but basically what it had to do with was that the alleged is that FTX was very big in Solana, right? That's why whenever FTX went under, Solana hit like $8. And they were threatened by the internet computer. And so futures trading was manipulated to make it look like this. That's what the theory is. And so when I look at the chart, I kind of look at it from this perspective. And what I said the other day was that you and Warren Buffett has said this before, I did not make it up, but that the stock is not always representative of the company, and the company is not always representative of the stock, right? Sometimes you're looking, and the same's true in crypto. You look and there's a meme coin that's at 5 billion, and you're like, why is this like that when some of these real projects are down? Well, the same happens for this. And that's why it's so important for us to do our own research and actually do a deep dive of what's going on. And so we're going to take a look at the internet computer, and it's basically reaching all-time lows, which is kind of crazy, but I'm going to break it down. I'm going to tell you where I think some of that selling pressure is coming from. But you can see the sovereign cloud where AI builds the web. They've been running very heavily into AI. They used to not market it so heavy towards AI, but about the last 2 years they have. And so what you're looking at with the internet computer is basically the World Wide Web on the internet, and all of it is on chain. There's on-chain AI models. There's on-chain, equivalents of X and Facebook, all of it. Okay. And it's completely on chain. I have a feeling Smallpox is a part of the 8YG. They call it the 8-year gang, people that stake essentially for 8 years. But this is a this is the best tech in crypto. Like there's no doubt about it. This is, if you really go take time and spend time on the internet computer. Okay. So now separate ICP, the internet computer, from the ICP token. When you're looking at this as a platform, it's bar none. The fact that all of this is actually happening on chain. You can see AI and ICP have very significant potential to benefit one another. First, AI and ICP together enable the self-writing internet. Give a description of an application. AI can write the application for you, and by deploying it as an ICP smart contract, make it available to you at a URL, just like that. Second, AI is running as a smart contract on ICP addresses. The problem of users having to blindly trust AI models running on centralized server providing transparency into data and usage. So this is completely on chain. Okay. And so now let me get into why I believe the chart looks like the chart does. Okay. Because you see, it's had some pumps like this pump up here. I remember it went from like $4 up to, 21, right? And it comes down to 90%. All right. And it's because more so than any other cryptocurrency, ICP is probably, the one that if you could argue should be like a stock, it should be a stock. Like there's a full-blown company behind it. Definity, okay, is a major contributor to the internet computer blockchain. And you can see everything that they have. They're a Swiss-based not-for-profit organization with the largest R&D team in crypto. 1,600 plus publications, 100,000 citation, 250 patents, and 180 team members. Okay, this is Dominique Williams. He's the chief scientist. He found it. Okay, but you have all these. Josh Drake. I would love to talk to him. I would love to have anyone from ICP up here. But ICP has done a lot of grants in the past to incentivize building and things like that. And I know those grants are paid in ICP tokens. And I wonder, even though this is nonprofit, all that means is that Definity doesn't make money from it, right? But what it doesn't mean is that everyone who works on it works for free, right? Everyone has to make money. Everyone has bills. I wish I had daddy's money where I didn't have to, but that's my goal in life, to be daddy, so my kids don't have to worry. I mean, I want them to work, definitely. Like, I'm not going to have any freeloaders. I'm not going to raise spoiled brats. But if times get rough, I want them to have daddy's money if they need it. But anyways, and so let's assume that this is paid in ICP, like these salaries and stuff, Therefore, you get a lot of selling pressure on the chart, But this is something that I look at, and when you look at Amazon, Amazon wasn't profitable for years and years, right? And even though this is the second largest AI crypto, it's still 1.27 bill. Like that's nothing. We've had multiple meme coins this cycle that are now sitting at nothing. That went, way up. Let's see, is Amazon. Okay, it doesn't. Yeah, it's bad with that. But the same thing. Just look at like Dogecoin, for instance. That's $28. And is it really unrealistic? Like, I mean, I hit 21 before. I think it's important whenever you look at something that's inflationary. Now, with more use case, ICP can become deflationary, which would be very bullish. But I always recommend looking at market cap, because you can see right here, it looks like this is very much lower than this. But if you go to market cap, then you're like, oh, okay, actually it's not that low, right? And if you look at price, you're like, wow, we just made a new all-time low. But if you come over here to market cap, so this is actual money within the ecosystem, you could see it's really not all-time low, right? Like this was the all-time low right here, right? And so that's actually the wick that we bounced off of October 10th, right? Right there. And so this is where we are. It's definitely, low times in terms of price. But when we look at Definity, and I know I used to follow them, but they're very active. They post all their research, Let's see what this is posting. Ever had your bank account frozen for no reason? Ever been asked what's the purpose of the transfer for your own money? Here's the truth. You can't access it in 30 seconds. It was never yours. I mean, that's a good point. I told a story about me taking a little bit of money out of the bank. Well, I mean, a good amount, right? But out of the bank cash, like 20 grand one time. I needed some cash, and it was like a big ordeal to get it. I mean, it really was. But if I deposit 20 grand, there's like no questions asked, right? It's like, yeah, give it to us. We'll take our money, and then we're fractionalized, lend it out, and you're okay. But then you walk right back in and say, hey man, actually, can I have that back? Well, what do you need it for? I don't know if we got it. I don't know if we got it. So let's listen to this real quick.
But I think one key point that we're missing out here is also ownership. right? Again, in the room, I don't know who's ever had their bank accounts frozen for no reason, who's had blocks on their transactions, who've wanted to send money out and had questions being like, why are you sending this? What is the purpose of the, what's the source of funds? What's the purpose of this? Now, if you're just a normal citizen trying to transact, right? If you can't call up and get your money out in 30 seconds, it's not your money.
Yeah.
Right? It's probably the bank's one.
I mean, it's a good point. It's a very, very, very good point. But yeah, they're a great follow right here. You can see Pakistan Digital Authority and Definity. That looks like Dominique Williams right there. This PDA partners with Definity for sovereign decentralized AI infrastructure. I mean, that's a pretty big deal. I mean, this page makes it look like it's not, though, because it's only 186 followers for that Pakistan thing. But yeah, this is a crypto that I like a lot. Today, deploying on Definity is powerful but abstract. Caffeine changed that. Deploy to the internet computer like a regular cloud account. Okay. Cloud engines take it further. Choose exactly which nodes run on your app, pick your country, pick your compliant rules, pick your cloud provider. The gap between Web3 infrastructure and traditional cloud just got a lot smaller. Let's take a listen to this.
Element of configuration that feels more familiar to the end user. What does that actually look like?
Well, today, the internet computer is quite an abstract thing. You can download an SDK and you configure it, and then you can upload apps that you've built with that SDK onto the internet computer. Caffeine is a new product, and if you have an account on Caffeine, you deploy to the internet computer without ever having to touch those kind of complex mechanisms. So in a sense, Caffeine provides something much more akin to a cloud account. But that really applies to people who are using self-writing. And it still doesn't give you that much control over where exactly on the internet computer your app is.
So yeah, the internet computer is awesome. Like you can play around with it, get you I think they call it DID, or it's basically like a like your login, kind of like it's a number, just a raw number. But still, I just want to point out and emphasize again just how small this entire sector is, right? Like this entire sector is smaller than Dogecoin. I mean, think about that, right? Like I love Dogecoin just as much as the next person, but it's we got a long ways to go. If I have 1,000, I better invest ICP and wait 5 years. Let's see. It's not a theory. FTX hurt ICP and Cardano. Right. Now, alleged stuff like that's probably stuff my lawyer would want me to say. So that's why I say that. Let's see. Let's keep going down. So we had somebody say Dro said Near protocol. And, Near's doing something very interesting. And so, again, I always talk about this with inflationary tokens. Price looks like this. We should always look at these via market cap. That's how much actual money is in the ecosystem, right? When you take a look at Solana, that's like the best example because it's pretty highly inflationary. But if we just kind of take a look at this, start off from a chart perspective, right there, that's kind of the lows. If you take a look right here, it's fell underneath that. But, that's why I kind of have this belief that alts are going to bottom in around summer or a little bit before, like May or maybe fairly soon. And then BTC around October timeframe, very similar to what happened last cycle if you go look at Ethereum. But let's take a look at Near protocol. I'm not too focused on the charts in this live stream because all of these are beat down major. But the thing is that what do we find the difference being, between all the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,000 altcoins that are down 90%, right? There's going to be some of them, and no guarantee that it's one that I think, but there's going to be some of them that we look back in a year and we're like, wow, it was right in front of our face. And I truly believe that this narrative is truly in front of our face. It's just this agentic AI, AGI, decentralized AI. It's here. The blockchain for artificial intelligence, the platform powering the agentic future. NEAR is an execution layer for AI native apps, enabling agents to own assets, make decisions, and transact freely across networks. And I think they're doing that via their NEAR intent. So NEAR protocol, we believe there's a better path for the internet where AI is not confined to closed corporate systems and agents can operate freely, transact securely, and protect user privacy. NEAR is enabling an open AI economy where AI serves people, not platforms. Agents that act with purpose, infrastructure that respects intent, a proof where the value flows back into those that create it. So it sounds very good, right? I like NEAR. I've used NEAR before. Do y'all remember when the NEAR X page got hacked? It was kind of funny. There was a guy came on and was posting in like this anonymous outfit, kind of looked like an anonymous video. It was kind of funny, actually. Not that they got hacked, but just what the guy did with it. But NEAR simplifies blockchain UX. Agents define outcomes. NEAR handles routing. No wallets, no bridges, no token. AI is becoming the most powerful force in the digital world. Our job is to make sure that the power belongs to the people, not the platforms. You know, I like NEAR. I do. I like it. And I think they're doing a good job. The only thing I would say about like Bittensor is that Bittensor is proof of work, right? So there's actually energy behind it versus something that's proof of stake, where basically the power, the voting rights is just who has the most tokens, kind of. And so that's why I'm very big into proof of work, right? That's why I like Kaspa. That's why I like Bitcoin, even though there is problems with proof of work whenever, you look at it, because price either has to keep going up or fees have to be generated. But I think Kaspa has a solution for that. And I think that Bittensor will have adoption. So let's look. Great turnout at the NEAR AI Open Claw Community Showcase. Open Claw, y'all know what that is, right? That's this new thing where everyone was buying those little Apple computers and building all kinds of crazy AI agents and stuff. And so we need this decentralized AI. That's all I know. That's all I know, right? I can never be right about every crypto, every chart, every technical analysis, everything. But all I know is that we're about 2 years into this AI thing, at least for mainstream adoption. And it's evident to me that we need decentralized artificial intelligence. And, one thing that this is kind of like the space race. Artificial intelligence is like the space race, because what we had whenever we were, back in the day, when we were going through the space race, okay, between Russia and the United States, it was how quick can we get to the moon, right? Factories took over, started working towards helping with the space race, all kinds of stuff like that. Well, now we're in the AI space race, essentially, and it's mainly between the US and China. And whenever we take a look at how legislation works, is the more red tape you have, which is intended to protect people, to put guidelines on people, that slows you down. And something that the administration have done is removed a lot of the red tape. So used to, these AI companies had to get approvals in every state. And now it's just one blanket approval and you can do whatever. And so that is good for growth. That is good for innovation. But sometimes when you do that, whoopsies can happen, or uh-ohs, or anything of that nature. And so, I really believe humanity, we need this decentralized AI as much as possible. But yeah, NEAR protocol, I definitely like it. So let's come over here. I think I've seen another one right here. Render. Yeah, and guys, we got a lot of comments talking about them. Can I try caffeine live? I can another day. Right now I'm wanting to go through a lot, but man, I could spend 4 or 5 hours on the ICP ecosystem. So let's schedule a live stream where we're just like, hopefully maybe we can get, I don't know if I can get Dominic Williams, but I could probably get someone from Definity and we could kind of go through it in a live stream. I think that would be a lot of fun. But but it would take a lot of time right now. And I'm just trying to do overview of the best tokens. You know, there is these file coins, and these are basically cloud computing. You know, there's Filecoin. There's another one that got real popular. You could see it had a real big run up, but I think this is just too niche. Whenever I look at storage, you know, Bittensor could have one subnet that does storage, right? Bittensor TAO could have one subnet that does the storage, or ICP could do the storage. And so it just seems a little too niche for me. It's like investing in a memory card company when you could invest in a company that makes every computing, you know, resource necessary. And so it's just a little too niche. But yeah, we have this comment up here about looking at render. So that's exactly. Golly, guys, we got a lot. We need to come up with a way to push people to the front of the line. Maybe super chat. Maybe we could do super chats. Push people to the front of the line. Let's look. Render. Okay. So let's look at render. We went over this a couple days ago on stream, but for anyone that doesn't know what render is, a quick little overview of render is that render is the leading provider of decentralized GPU-based rendering solutions, revolutionizing the digital creation process. The network connects node operators looking to monetize their idle GPU power. So before, we have been in a GPU deficit, okay, a computing power deficit, where that's starting to change now. Like I was saying, Elon said that we're going to have more GPUs and CPUs than we actually have electricity to run it. But what's really cool about Akash and render, and I think they're very similar to one another, is that, you know, I could put my computer on there, and when I'm not using it, my GPU could go towards artificial intelligence processing and things like that. So cloud rendering made easy, secure, and affordable. Fast. Create the next generation resolutions at incredible speeds with parallelized rendering. The future. So yeah, I really like render. I do. Access near unlimited GPU cloud rendering. And the other one that I would put right in line with this, so this is currently a 665 mil market cap. The other one that I would put right in line with this is actually Akash. And so let me see where that is now. It's fallen quite a lot. Akash Network. So this one's 89. Right? So if we come over here to market cap, and this right here is a very good example, like I said, why to view market cap and not price. If you look at price, you would think, oh my gosh, this has not hit an all-time high since March of 2021. That's true with the price, but if you look at market cap, it has definitely made a new all-time high. So there was actually, you know, over 130% more money in this ecosystem here than there was back here. And as an investor, what that tells you is that this token has had a lot of inflation. And so coming over here, when you look at the tokenomics, you can see that the worst of it's already done. You know, it's already 74%, you know, in circulation. And so the worst of that's done, so that's something positive, but this is marketed as a decentralized cloud marketplace, essentially. Unlock global GPU power at a fraction of the cost. And you can see right here, breaking down the cost between renting this from Akash and renting it from, you know, centralized entities. And these are all different types of chips, so different, you know, efficiencies. But if we just look at the H200, you can see it costs you about $433 an hour to get it from Amazon, costs you about $372 from Google Cloud, $650 from CoreWeave, $270 for Akash, right? And so my only question with this is, you know, are people, to try to save a little bit of money, are they going to want to go to something decentralized, like a marketplace right off the bat? Like, but again, this changes extremely quick. This sector that we're in, it changes extremely quick. There's a lot of you know, time it took forever to go from a very, very expensive computer back in the 90s to go to what we have today. However, when you look at the advancements of AI, it went from not even being able to generate a picture, a few years ago, or a very bad fake picture, to now having deep fake videos, so the curve on this technology and the adoption of this technology is happening at a very alarming pace, a very, very quick pace. And so Akash is one that I really like. Now, you always have to, no matter what it is, doesn't matter if it's AI, if it's real world assets, if it's whatever, you have to figure out what the token does within the ecosystem, right? Is it a governance token? And if it is, what does that mean? Or is it a way to pay for stuff? Like if Akash, and let me know down in the comments if somebody knows this, but Akash, if you paid this in Akash tokens, well then, okay, now that's a use case, right? But if you don't, and it's just like a voting governance thing, well, maybe it doesn't translate to the token, right? Maybe Akash, the platform, does extremely well, but maybe it doesn't translate to the token. That's something that I've questioned about Ondo recently. If you just want to look, I know I've went over it a lot of times before and I made a post about it, but this token, this is Pump Fund, right? So it's a meme launch pad, but there's really no connection between this and the Pump Fund launch pad. So like if the Pump Fund launch pad got acquired by Coinbase for $30 billion or whatever, what would that do to the token? Would it continue to go down? You know what I mean? So we really have to try to see what is vaporware and what's not. And so you bid in AKT to rent that compute. Awesome. Thank you for confirming that. I thought that was the case. They just don't have it bid in AKT, I guess, because the price varies and stuff. But, this is something that we've seen happen also with ArcBlock, which is founded by Robert Mao. And so if we come over here and look at ABT, Robert Mao, he's going to be up on the stream next Tuesday. Again, had a big pump up. What is that, a 56x? And now it's back down to like these levels, but they're continuing to build. And there was a time where everything here was priced in ArcBlock. And when the price ran up, they had to lower those prices because it became an abnormal or a very expensive cost. But you can see this is a really cool project, redefining software, architect, and ecosystems. They have an NFT studio. They have this agent, AI apps engine empowers AI for application development. Agent makes it easy to access and utilize large language models and generative AI with a completely code-free approach. Like ArcBlock had vibe coding before anybody else had vibe coding. Okay. It's just marketing and getting it out there for people. There's this creator studio that I've been waiting to pilot for a while. Coming soon. I will be piloting it if Robert still allows me whenever it comes back. But we're currently messaging on Telegram and going to work on getting him in there. Let's come back to some of these. Bitcoin is 15-year-old tech. All old tech goes down in value over time. You might as well invest in televisions. Bitcoin, when I think about BTC, and a lot of people fear that if BTC, fails, that crypto fails, but I don't think that's the truth. I think that it's just the test net. I believe that Bitcoin, if it could be seen as a commodity, as a store of value, then that's good. Okay. We're obviously not there yet because what we just seen was gold go parabolic at the same time that Bitcoin was down 50% in a month, right? And that's a lot of the challenges that I'm making this post that's currently going viral. I mean, it's had 50,000 views just since we've been in this stream. So it's a big concern for people, and you don't hear a lot of people talking about it, probably because they're afraid of if you know, if this gets out and Bitcoin goes down, or if there's not a solution for it, what happens to the crypto industry? But to me, blockchain's here to stay. Payments, artificial intelligence, I believe, is coming on chain. And so, you know, I just think of Bitcoin is more so like a Model T, you know, from Henry Ford, the first one off the good old assembly line. And that we are looking at, you know, Lamborghinis now and electric cars versus internal combustion engines. So let's go see what other people are saying. LFG now, what's up, brother? Looking for AI project. Just found one on base, BV7X. Okay, let's take a look at it. Sounds like a horrible name. I'm not going to lie. BV7X. Oh, it's like a micro cap. This thing just launched. Web4 agents, wagering capital, proprietary BTC intelligence with 60.9% accuracy. I wonder what that means. Like trading prediction plus fees. New space on Monday with this person. They joined a while back. That's something I always look for. I always look, when did they join? Because if they joined like last month, it's like, can I trust this guy or not? But this person has a track record. Sell decision, not data. At 1M volume, 0.8% fees, 8K a day, 2.9 a year. Auto routed into buybacks. Yeah, this is one that I'll put in the watch list in my Discord. If anyone is interested in joining the Discord, where I post anything from like my TAO trades to, we got DGen trades, DGen section, technical analysis, crypto technical analysis, all kinds of stuff like that. If anyone is interested, I want you to be able to have extra money. So because of that, I've made a 50% off discount code for Love50. The only requirement is you use the other $25 because it's only $50 a month, less than a cup of coffee a day. The only requirement is you use the other 25 to go get your significant other some flowers. But there's a WAP link in the YouTube description, or if you search, you know, Finance Freeman or WAP on my X page, it'll come up as well. But code Love50, get 50% off the first month. And once people join, they really don't leave. We have a pretty good tight-knit community. Obviously, you have some people leaving, but I tried to price it low enough to where everybody could afford it. Everybody that's into cryptocurrency could afford it. And not these people out there trying to charge $200 and they're not even active or anything like that. But let's go through some more of these comments. Injective and FET. Yeah. Injective. Let's take a look. So if I'm not mistaken, Injective is, do they consider themselves a layer one, or is it Injective? See, how is this? Because I thought this was layer 2 scaling solution, but I'm not too familiar with it, honestly. It's not something that I know that No BS Crypto used to talk about it a lot, but it's not something that I personally have done a lot of research in. Injective is the first and only blockchain built for finance. It is open, interoperable, layer 1 blockchain power next generation finance applications, including DeFi, RWAs, AI, decentralized exchange prediction. Sounds like they're trying to be the catch-all for everything. Like they're just throwing a whole bunch of stuff at the wall, seeing what sticks. You know, and that could work, but overall, it's not one that I personally am looking at. You know, I think that it's, and I've tried to do this in real life too, right? I've tried to, at one point in time, I wanted to be a pipe fitter. I wanted to be a welder. I wanted to, you know, be a trader. I want to do all this stuff. And I realized that when you try to spread yourself too thin, you're like jack of all trades, master of none. And I would rather look at projects that are, you know, that are not jack of all trades. And Something tells me, Falcon, that you just joined because I spent 30 minutes going over TAO. We were talking about it. I actually think I still have it pulled right up here on Blofin. And guys, if you are just joining, there will be a link below for Blofin, who is our partner for the streams. I have TAO spot and futures. So yeah, and just so you know, I actually put a alert in the Discord earlier that I purchased some TAO because it may go lower, it may not, but I don't want to miss it if it doesn't go lower. But let's come back over here and let's see this. I think the midnight token's going to be big. I have a feeling Charles won't let it fail no matter what. Yeah, we need to do a maybe tomorrow we can do that. Today was about artificial intelligence, but the next big sector that I'm bullish on is privacy. And that's what midnight is focused on, is privacy. And it's supposed to, I need to do some more research tonight about the ties between midnight and Cardano and how it could potentially help Cardano, because Cardano's struggling. Like, you know, when you look at Cardano, it has like less than 100 million in total value locked. And this is something that's, you know, almost 10 billion market cap, you know, like they don't have USDT, they don't have USDC. So there's just a, you know, it's just kind of struggled, right? But let's come back and go to categories. AI and big data. So this right here, this is another one that Dro mentioned right here, artificial superintelligence. This was a bridge between 3 different projects. Okay, it was kind of like the first merger we'd seen in cryptocurrency, or that I had seen in cryptocurrency, and it's cool. Let's take a look at what they're working on. But it's always important for us to look at the tokenomics, see how much inflation is coming, when unlocks are coming, things like that. That's why I like something like Bittensor TAO so much, is because it's a decentralized blockchain. It has a token that's on an emission schedule, that's on a halving schedule, but at the same time, you can also stake on it. So it's just like the best of both worlds. And every time I talk about it, I'm becoming extremely more and more bullish on it. Let's take a look at this. ASI infrastructure, a modular stack for autonomous intelligence from compute. Man, why does it keep going? From compute to coordination, tapping a scalable infrastructure, powering AI agents and workflow. Why ASI allowance? Decentralized control, open ecosystem, privacy first, transparent and open source. I like that. I like open source. ASI token. Let's take a look at the details regarding this. What is FET? So they kept because it used to be Fetch AI. Is primarily a cryptocurrency for the project. It powers a decentralized AI ecosystem, allowing users to access AI services, participate in governance decisions, stake tokens for network security. So the token, it looks like, is actually a means of, you know, paying for the AI services, which is something that I really, really like. And, you know, whenever it comes to AI, you know, yeah, that's a good one. I do think so, but let's look at most visited. So TAO, obviously, ICP, near render. We already went over those. Let's see if there's any like very low ones. And I think I seen somebody comment one earlier. Okay, Golem is super OG. Bought some back in 2017. So GNT to GLM migration. So I'm not a fan of migrations, I'll be honest. We're finally ready. The blog post, Bear in mind that you also need a little bit of ETH. Now, okay, why? We are migrating towards an ERC20 token, mainly because New Golem's transactions framework is built on Ethereum's layer 2, and this scaling method allows or requires tokens to be ERC20. Our former token was launched in 2016, and back then the ERC20 was not popular, nor did we know how widely adopted it would be. ERC tokens are able to be used freely, not only for L2, but across DeFi and DEXs. So, okay, that's a good enough reason, I guess. I typically do not like migrations, like I said, but let's take a look at the tokenomics. So 100% in circulation. That's cool. So we have no inflation coming. If we come back here to the all-time chart, you can see if we're looking at raw price, we kind of been on this trajectory, but let's go to market cap to see how the inflation has affected it. Not too much. I wonder if it was all in circulation from the beginning. We'd have to look at the emission schedule, but let's take a look at their X page. Golem Network supporting a decentralized ecosystem from data autonomy to compute power. I turned off the music just because I don't know whose rights are in the music or what, and don't want to have any trouble with that. So that didn't tell me much. It was just like a feel-good thing. Went to Argentina to get more. I mean, you know, the thing is we're going to have a lot of projects, already do, that are AI this, AI that, you know, and I really think picking between the winners and the losers is important, because as we've seen, this cycle is a perfect example of it. Is, you know, last cycle, like, let's just find a random coin that's been around for a while, okay? Let's just find a random coin that's been around for a while. Let's look at Optimism, okay? Layer 2 scaling solution. Okay, this one, not a good example, but let's find something that we know has been around a while. Or in fact, let's look at Golem, for instance, okay? Let's look at this. And what we're going to find is that last cycle, everything pumped, right? You know, like if you come back, oh, wow, look, 2021 cycle, a big pump, okay? Right here, we had a pump. Here we had a pump. But this is also the AI narrative. However, if you look at something like Ethereum, for instance, or even Cardano, like let's take a look at Cardano. You know, yeah, Cardano had the 2021 pump, but this cycle, it wasn't really a altcoin season type of pump that we all wait and look for. And I think it's just because we're so spread out. You know, the overall crypto market cap's 2.25 trillion. If we look, 1.3 of that's Bitcoin. If we add stable coins to it, so 1.5 trillion is stable coins and BTC. That only leaves like 750 billion for altcoins. Like, we're so incredibly early. But with that extra liquidity being spread out, anything that mentions quantum or AI or this or that is going to take mind share, going to take, you know, money away from good projects. And so I think it's very important. You know, Golem may be great, right? But it's built on Ethereum, and is it going to be the answer? Like, I'm wanting to look for things that I truly believe can change the way that artificial intelligence is done. And, you know, my favorite is right here, Bittensor TAO. It's a layer 1. You know, when you look at, you know, even probably my second favorite, the internet computer, it's a layer 1. You know, price looks bad, right? Yes, but adoption, if adoption kicks in, if we've went over and seen the fears that we've seen, you know, with people leaving Anthropic, with AI, the AI models are able to know when they're being tested and act a different way. Like, it's obvious to me that we need artificial intelligence to be decentralized. And I'm not looking for something that's built on top of Ethereum, that's built on top of Solana. I'm looking for something that is in its own lane, a layer one that can get the type of adoption that these layer ones have had, that Ethereum's had, that's Bitcoin's had, that Solana's had. So like, let's just look at, for instance, if let's just say ICP won the race and that it got to where Solana is, you know, because Solana right now is the third largest layer one. Well, if you take Bitcoin out and we look at altcoins, you know, if you look a second, okay. And so let's say ICP was there. Let's say, you know, and if artificial intelligence are really going to get to where we think it is, then, you know, this isn't impossible, you know. Or if we look at TAO, like, I just think that, like I said, never financial advice, that this could not even happen. All these could go to zero, right? So don't listen to some guy on the internet, right? That's why I always flash this bad boy up here. Do not listen to me. But, you know, when I'm talking about what I'm personally doing, I think there's just too much potential. There's just too much potential, you know? And like, this is up, hit 141 the other day. It was up 11%. Yeah, that was in February, you know, but unless we have like a Zcash type thing or the privacy sector, and like I said, this decentralized AI meta has not even been something that's really been talked about, right? I'm going to start talking about it. I'm sure others will. We're not to the solution part yet. The part that we're at is that, AI is kind of scary and kind of a problem, right? That's why we've seen this article get 85 million views, right? So we're at the part of, wow, this is scary. People are leaving these large AI companies because of morals and integrity and maybe fear out of it, you know, but we're not to the solution part yet. And the solution part's what I think's coming. And the solution's decentralized artificial intelligence on chain. You know, even big tech companies, what are they thinking about? Like, if you're going to have AI agents working with one another, having to pay for compute, you know, what are they going to do? Give each other a credit card? You know, hey, man, you got Cash App? You got Venmo, AI agent, AXABT, blah, blah, blah. No, it's going to be on chain. And so I think we're early to this decentralized AI narrative. And I don't even like to call it a narrative, because I don't think, you know, when I think of narratives, I think of hype, right? I think of things without substance behind them. When we talk about AI hype, okay, it seems like it's short-lived, right? If you're like, oh yeah, there's this new meta out. All that is like short-term mindset to me, short-term like ideology. When I don't think that's the case for AI. I think AI is truly going to be disruptive in good and bad ways. You know, I said, and I can show you the intro to this video that I had yesterday, that, you know, this is kind of how I think AI is going to do. I think it's going to affect everyone's life. And if you don't subscribe over on YouTube, please make sure you go do. I post, we have a live stream every day that's cross stream between YouTube and X right here. Okay. And we also have full detailed reviews of projects, and I try to do them daily or Monday through Friday. You know, I cover Kaspa a lot. I cover some meme coins. I like meme coin. I like to have fun. Bittensor Algorand is one that does a lot of real world assets. And that's another narrative that I don't think is a meta, right? Like, it's going to come around of tokenization of everything. But right now, this cycle, next cycle, any time now, I think AI is going to be major. And so I want to show you
Your perfect
little intro from this video talking about AI and what I believe I think it's going to do. And this will be short, guys. You're going to want to watch this entire video. We know artificial intelligence is taking over every aspect of our lives. Some people's jobs get more efficient because of artificial intelligence. Some people will lose their jobs because of artificial intelligence. But if these AI models are owned by centralized big tech industries, who do we trust and how do we validate them? What if there was a decentralized network very similar to Bitcoin, but for artificial intelligence? Well, there is. Meet Bittensor. So that was my TAO video, like I was saying earlier, but it doesn't stop the fact that, it doesn't really matter about Bittensor so much, right? It just matters about the fact that we need decentralized AI, and like I said, I don't think it's a meta because I think metas are a buzzword for hype and, trying to buy and sell the top and da, 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 da. But this could be something that truly changes the world. And like I said, we are just now in the problem phase, but not the solution phase. And I think the solution phase will be decentralized AI. And so just let's kind of break down the chart here on TAO a little bit. We have this low right here, which is the February 10th or the early February. Oh, wait, excuse me. I was talking about December 10th. So we can see, or November 10th. I mean, this is when allegedly the Binance stablecoin depegged and it caused the big flush. It was also around tariffs and stuff like that. But, when we're taking a look at this, it bounced pretty strongly off this 145 level, and so TAO is proof of work. So there is emissions that come out, and emissions are sometimes sold depending on what the break even is. I'm going to be talking to some people hopefully next week about TAO. There's 3 individuals that I want to have up on stream to really just explain different subnets, how the staking works, because being able to stake and get a reward on top of something that is, essentially mined, even though it's useful work, is bullish. So short term, when I'm trading, I mark out support and resistance levels, right? So when I'm looking at this right there, right here. And so for TAO, this is one level of resistance right here. It could potentially be making a little head and shoulders, and this is a low time frame, 15 minutes, right? So it's really hard to tell. But when I'm trading, for instance, and this is just like a trading thing, never financial advice, but if I find this is a support level and I see a breakout above it and then a retest of it, that's like where I personally like to enter, because then I can put my stop loss a little under that and I have a foundation. The same goes with the top, right? The same goes where if this was to come up here, it's very easy to be able to put a stop loss right above that, right? And then write it down if it's a short, because it's all about, when I trade, it's all about risk reward. And so I would never open up a trade on anything kind of in the middle of something and just, kind of pray for it. Like, for instance, if we're taking a look at BTC right here, you could see all the levels that I've marked out. And I've talked about this before, of kind of keep your TA simple, stupid. You don't need to make it extremely complex. Of course, you can get into wave counts, you can get in all of that, but I figured out that the more I've learned about technical analysis, you can kind of get in your own way and confuse yourself. You can get too smart for your own good, per se. And sometimes just keeping it simple like this. Like, look at this trend line. This trend line was started back here and then it came right here. So you could have drawn this trend line based off these 2 dots, right? Now, obviously, the more data that you get, there's, the more credibility behind it. But you can see all the potential trades that I could have taken off this trend line, right? And then coming down, you know, it's kind of hard to find a basis floor. The floor was right here, right? This was it. And so these trades could have been from here to here. Boom, that's it, you know, and then get out. And then if I wanted to switch long, same thing. I just put a stop loss right under that, manage, you know, very low risk reward. When I open a trade, I like a 10-to-1 ratio. So like if my stop loss is like, say, a $10 loss for me personally, then I would want to be able to make 100 on it, you know, at my take profit target, because that's my opinion of a good trader. Frequent small losses, but the wins are very good. You know, I did a 6-figure Zcash short at the top, and I detailed it in the Discord and everything. I don't know if anyone followed along, but basically short at the top of Zcash, you know, not once, but twice. Only one of them I was able to make 6 figures, but you know, you got to know how to take small losses and stuff like that. But like I said, guys, never financial advice, but if you do want to join Blofin, there's a link down below. They're our partner for the stream. And then if you kind of want to see what I'm doing, the Discord, and we've got a code for 50% off the first month at the WAP link for love 50, and I would absolutely love to have you in there. But yeah, that's kind of what I like to look at. But you know, so basically what I was getting at, and I know I'm kind of scatterbrained all over the place because I love this so much, and I'm really in love with finance, with crypto, with charts, with technology, with AI. I really love it. It's a passion of mine. So sometimes I can be scatterbrained all over the place, but we're at the problem phase. We're not to the solution phase, right? My opinion is the solution is going to be decentralized AI, on-chain, ICP, Bittensor TAO, things like that. I think have potential to be asymmetric trades. The problem is, when is the solution going to be mainstream and be proposed? Obviously, I want to be in it before it gets mainstream. But when is that going to happen? And if it happens today, then great. But if it doesn't happen today, then if Bitcoin continues to go down, then things will be carried down with it, most likely, right? Whenever we take a look at Bitcoin. So there's really no strength in the Bitcoin chart. There's really nothing positive that we could look at on the Bitcoin chart. There's really no strength. I mean, if we are trying to find a silver lining in this, I mean, if we come down here, let's draw a fib, swing low to swing high. I mean, you could say it's maintaining like this golden pocket, you know, between 0.5 and 618, you know, level, you know, so I guess that's good. But if it loses that, you know, we may be going lower sooner than later. But it also wouldn't surprise me if the low is in for now, you know. But this is not, you know, whenever I trade, I don't open up trades. It all depends on the time frame, right? You have to narrow down your time frame. If you're trading 5-minute time frame, then you know, you can trade a small area. But like for like a large trade, you know, I wouldn't enter here because you know, I would wait for a test of down here, or I would wait for a top, right? I never like to enter in the middle. That's how you see all these people that I have no idea how they made so much money, but they're losing like 200 mil, getting liquidated, and they're like opening longs at 20x leverage, like right here in the middle. It's like, what are you doing? You are very, very silly, to put it nice. Great stream today. Gee, learning a lot. Hey man, thank you. That's the goal behind this. All in Kaspa. You know, Kaspa has something very interesting coming up, because Kaspa, similar to Bittensor TAO, is artificial intelligence. I mean, not artificial intelligence. I butchered that. My bad. Kaspa, very similar to Bittensor TAO, is proof of work. Okay. And whenever I take a look at Kaspa, you know, I know I've talked about this before, but I'm looking for the 886 fib level on this, and it correlates with a couple other things, but that's around 2.3 cents is what I'm looking for. This line right here is 1.3 cents. So you never know. Nobody knows exactly where it's going to go. Kaspa is not doesn't have as asymmetrical of a trade with a good long-lasting narrative like in the short term that I believe Bittensor TAO has, just because like we're already here to fear level. Like there's big fear going on. What's the solution? Decentralized AI is the solution. Boom. And so, but when I'm looking at what Kaspa is doing, I definitely think Kaspa has the potential to become a top 3 cryptocurrency, like even challenge Ethereum and things like that. But it's a process, because right now Kaspa, the same way this viral post that's coming out, and like we can listen to it, but I mentioned Kaspa in this. So where are we at now? 302,000 views. That's the best post I've ever had on X. So let's listen to this, and then I'll explain what Kaspa's doing and how they're solving this problem, because they have the same problem that Bitcoin has. But let's listen. And this is the problem that it'll face one day unless something changes. And so in order to break this down as to why this is a problem, we have to understand what Bitcoin is. Bitcoin is a proof of work network, which means there's computing power all around the world securing the network. This is much different than proof of stake. Kaspa and Bitcoin are both proof of work. What that means is that electricity is very expensive. This hardware is very expensive. The current price to mine a Bitcoin is approximately $60,000. Well, right now there is 3.125 BTC every block that's mined. Well, we've all heard of this halving, where that amount cuts in half, right? And it's been a catalyst because it's a supply shock. Well, let's fast forward 100, 200 years when there's no BTC coming out. That means that just at today, let's just say that day happened today. The day's not here yet, but let's say that today, no more BTC was mined. The network would go offline, because every 10 minutes there is 3 Bitcoin coming out, right? Which at today's prices is like $210,000. Okay. The network for Bitcoin yesterday had $200,000 in fees. So the fees of Bitcoin will satisfy the network for 10 minutes for one block, essentially, if there was not BTC yield coming out. It's a huge problem nobody wants to talk about. And it's not independent of Bitcoin. This is a proof of work problem. This is why Ethereum switched to proof of stake. And so if we come over here to the video I posted yesterday, I show these fees over here. They're not generating a ton of fees right now for Kaspa, but that is a problem. But it's a problem that is there's a plan and path for it. Basically, there's a hard fork that is going to eventually allow VPROX, which is smart contract implementation for Kaspa. Kaspa is already 96% mined, okay, very similar to where BTC, but obviously the price of Kaspa is low. And so a proof of work network has to generate enough fees for the layer 1 to be sufficient without tokens being generated, without any kind of supply being increased. If there's anyone that can argue against this, please, I would love to learn. I would love to have a debate with you about it. So yeah, that's the post that's going viral now. 320,000 views, 310,000 views, whatever it is. I want to see. I would like to have like Adam back, or somebody that's very prevalent into Bitcoin respond to it, because I'm somebody that's right. You are right, and they don't have the answer. I'm somebody that owns Bitcoin. I like Bitcoin. I do, but I just want to help be a part of the solution. Try to, I don't think in life when there's a problem that we should run from the problem. Like, we should face the problem head on, whether it's a bully in school and I'm trying to teach my kids that, or it's a marriage problem, or it's I'm fat or whatever, I don't think we should run from it. Grok, is he right? The concern about Bitcoin's post subsidy is valid and debated recent show. So, I'm definitely not wrong on this, and nobody's really had a solution of how we can increase the fees. And so Kaspa, getting back to Kaspa, has the same problem. Okay. It's a proof of work network. It's 96% mined, but the only difference is that they have VPROGs coming up, which is a very new type of smart contracts that will allow the feeds to go to Kaspa, okay, like to mainnet Kaspa. And that is how proof of work should work. You can see block DAG plus ghost DAG now, DAG night next. These are all hard forks that are coming up, and some already happened. There won't be a new token issued. It's a hard fork without creating a new token. Proof of work path to scale the layer 1 without staking or government token theater. So this is a huge thing, right? And so Kaspa has a path towards it, and they could have a VPROG that's set up for artificial intelligence. They could have a VPROG that's set up for real world assets. And so I'm extremely bullish on Kaspa's potential to grow as a layer 1, and within that layer 1, implement solutions for what Bitcoin's problem is right now in that viral post, or artificial intelligence or anything else, because I do like proof of stake projects. You know, I partner with Algorand. They're a sponsor, and I would never work with somebody that I didn't actually genuinely like the project. And so, you know, like looking at Algorand, they're doing a lot of real world asset stuff. They're quantum resistant or quantum proof already. They're proof of stake, and the way that they do it is different than how other proof of stake projects do. But from just a raw cryptography, cypherpunk, love of crypto, proof of work is what Bitcoin was, computing, you know, and that's what Kaspa is as well. That's what Bittensor TAO is as well. And so what Bitcoin does is considered useless work. The hash is solved, or, you know, the block's mined, that energy is never coming back, right? Bittensor, they flip it into artificial intelligence compute, right? So that's great. That makes a lot of sense. It's great. And then what Kaspa is doing is figuring out a way with VPROGs to be able to layer or enable to scale the L1 and put the fees on the L1, because the miners, in order to power the hash rate, okay, they have to be paid, right? Nobody's doing this for free. People want to make money. People do not want to lose money. And so when you look at the Kaspa hash rate, it looks good. It looks good, right? I mean, it hit an all-time high up here of, you know, 1.5 exahash. And right here was Kaspa's all-time high price, around 450 petahashes. And so there's not a security problem right here, being at 415 petahashes. If we come over here and we take a look at BTC hash rate, we can take a look here on blockchain.com and see, you know, where the hash rate is now. The hash rate has ticked up, but you can see it's going down. But you can see when the price of Bitcoin goes down, very shortly after that, hash rate goes down. Like miners turn off and stuff. And this problem, if we do not have fees, because right now the only way Bitcoin miners are getting paid is by the 3.125 Bitcoin that come out per block. And we know it costs $60,000 to mine a Bitcoin approximately. So that's about $200,000 per block. A block happens every 10 minutes. There's 144 10-minute increments in a day. So that comes out to about, if it costs $200,000 to mine a block and there's 144 blocks a day for Bitcoin, it costs about $28 million to secure the Bitcoin network for a day. Well, if you take a look, a couple days ago, the layer 1 fees were only 2.6 BTC for the entire day, 180K. So at best, there was enough fees generated by the Bitcoin network for an entire day to pay for one 10-minute security block on the network. Currently, it's being subsidized with 3.125 BTC, right? In 3 and a point something more years, when the next halving comes, it's going to drop down to 1.65 something, right? After that, it's going to drop down to, you know, 0.78 or something like that. And so, you know, we're only 7 years away from this block reward being sub 1 BTC, like sub 0.8 BTC. And we have to be able to generate on the Bitcoin network more than, 200K a day in fees. We need to get that up to 14 million in fees just to be able to split fees with that 0.7, 0.8 Bitcoin that come out. And then 4 years after that, it's going to be 0.3 something Bitcoin. After that, it's going to be 0.18 Bitcoin. After that, 0.09 Bitcoin. So the need for fees to jump up is extremely, extremely huge. And it's something that I don't even think Michael Saylor understands. And I can tell you who definitely don't understand it is Grant Cardone. I made a post about that yesterday because when I listened to this interview of DJ Vlad, and this was a very similar post to the one that went viral, but I listened to this interview and this guy's like, man, I'm buying BTC at 126. I'm buying it at 90. I bought it at 80. I'll buy it at 60. They don't obviously understand what's going on, So I think early Bitcoin OGs have found their exit liquidity. Now, I don't think it's something that is going to be detrimental today. I don't think it's going to be detrimental in 3 years. I think that, there's a couple solutions. One, you could either find a way to lower or to increase the fees, right? So if you look at Bitcoin fees all time, when ordinals and inscriptions and things on chain were happening on the layer 1, the fees were high because the block space is very small. And this going back to the block wars of like 2015 or 2017, where there was a lot of people fighting against increasing that block size. And so one thing you could do is find a way to get real usage to the layer 1, not Lightning Network. That's not doing it. It doesn't send enough fees to the layer 1. That's fugazi, okay? It's a smoke show, a smoke screen, whatever you want to call it. So that's one solution. Just increase the fees. We need 28-30 million approximately at today's rate in fees without the BTC subsidy of 3.125. The second thing is lower the overall cost to be able to mine a block, right? And that would be the best case scenario. You hear Elon Musk talk about putting data centers in space. And that's not because we don't have enough room here on the ground. It's because the closer you get to the sun, the more efficient solar panels are. It doesn't get dark up there. So you could essentially have 24/7 exposure to the sun. On the other side of the sun, you could have cooling, which, allows the equipment to be self-cooled and you don't have to worry about overheating, things like that. And that would lower electricity costs, right? And so if you ever get to the point to where electricity is basically free for everybody, well, then that would actually be very good for the Bitcoin network because then everyone could mine and you would have low likelihood of getting a reward or anything like that, but that would add decentralization. Whether you're running a miner or a node, it would increase decentralization. So that's good. The number 3 solution, which people would not want, is something that XMR did. And it's adding a tail emission, okay, to where you have an infinite supply. So say it comes down to the point to where Bitcoin is, like with the Bitcoin and fees together, that it's still like $100,000 loss per block or something like that. Bitcoin, and it could be voted on and stuff like that, where you have a tail emission where it's 0.5 BTC every block forever. But then that gets rid of this theory or what people fell in love with being a fixed supply asset. And it would no longer be that. And in all actuality, it already kind of isn't that because we have all these derivatives. Like, yeah, there's 21 million Bitcoin in total. There's currently about 19 point something million out. Arguably 4 or 5 million of them are lost. So maybe 14 million Bitcoin in circulation actually. But then when you take a look at all the derivatives, whether it's perpetual futures, whether it's call options, put options, any of these ETF derivatives, it's honestly, it's not as fixed supply as it once was. And that's just part of having Wall Street in the game. It's part of having Wall Street in the game. But I do think there's a lot of potential for Kaspa to grow and to be able to capitalize on artificial intelligence. But speaking directly for artificial intelligence, it's not as good as Bittensor TAO for AI right now, right? So when I'm looking, Bittensor and honestly the Internet Computer, like one of the worst looking charts in crypto, are the ones that I believe are positioned the best. And then, you know, Near Protocol looks pretty good. So like if I was putting these in like tiers, I would put S tier Bittensor TAO. A tier right under that, I would put the Internet Computer. And the only reason is because I think it's going to be a challenge to explain this to the masses and have them understand that. But maybe large institutions don't care. Maybe, you know, maybe all these big companies around the world use the Internet Computer for their intranet, for their internet inside of their company, you know. And so then in the B realm, I would put Near Protocol. I would put Render. And in like the C tier, just because of where market cap is, that's where I would put. No, you know, I'd put Akash in the B tier as well with Render. And then in the C tier is where I would put artificial super intelligence and stuff like that. But I'm also keeping my eye on new ones. Like LFG mentioned a new one, right? That just launched a little bit ago. So I'm definitely looking at everything. But again, like I said earlier in the stream, the entire AI market cap in cryptocurrency is less than the market cap of Dogecoin. Okay, let's make sense of that. At the same time that we have OpenAI wanting to IPO on the stock market for like $750 billion, XAI and XAI just merged with SpaceX. They're wanting IPO at like 1.5 trillion. So when we look at the overall crypto market cap being 2.3 trillion, and we look at, you know, the overall AI sector being less than Dogecoin, we're just extremely, extremely early, and just simple math shows that, guys. So that's our AI going all over all the AI coins, guys. As always, if you don't subscribe on YouTube to Finance Freeman, I would absolutely love to have you. Daily videos coming out, long form pre-recorded videos, and this stream is broadcasted there as well. If you don't follow me over on X, it's a good read. A lot of people agree. 318K views on this post. So I absolutely love to have you there. And then if you're looking for a place to trade, Blofin is the official sponsor and where I do all my trades. And if you want to see what trades I'm doing before we talk about them here on stream, with code LOVE50, you can join the Discord to get 50% off your first month. The only requirement is the other $25, you got to go buy your wife flowers or chocolate or your significant other like that. But guys, it's been great. Absolutely love these. Last question to round us out. Bull or bear market? It's a bear market for sure. No doubt about it. And I'll leave you with one thing to look at, and that is going to be this. Stock market, the Qs. You know, if you look, NVIDIA's already down, Tesla's down, all the software companies are down, but it looks like a rolling top. It looks like a double top. It looks like a rolling top. And, you know, I think we could easily see a 20% decline, you know, in the stock market. And their financial advice, of course. But yeah, it's so if this goes down, crypto will continue to go down. What happened all season? Well, there was plenty of alts to run throughout the year. You know, we highlighted them earlier. We had meme coins obviously did good. Privacy sector did extremely well. Like if you look at Zcash, you know, this thing went from $30 to $730, right? And this is one that we'll highlight tomorrow in the privacy sector. AI, we had AI do extremely well, But yeah, as good old Ben Cohen would say, we topped on apathy and not euphoria. Not euphoria. But yeah, we just have way too much stuff. We have way too much stuff. We have 95% of these that need to go to zero, and the money needs to concentrate in the real stuff, the not speculative assets. It needs to concentrate into the real assets, the real stuff, the real AI, the real world assets, the real money. Okay. We need the real tech. So much of this is vaporware that it needs to go to zero, and I predict will go to zero. But guys, join us tomorrow, Friday. Like I said, Blofin link down below, Discord down below. Follow me everywhere. We're growing the Finance Freeman family, and I'm so thankful, so proud to have every single one of y'all here with us Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. Set your alarms, put the notifications on, be here early, and let me know whenever. Yeah, we've talked about this. I don't know if that's the case, but join us tomorrow and we will talk about it. But I absolutely love you all. Thank you for joining.